United States, with entry points at hundreds of airports, harbors, and along a border of more than 100,000 miles, is protected by the Department of Homeland Security, including the Transportation Security Administration, the U.S. Coast Guard, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Customs and Border Protection, including the Border Patrol. This is Border Security USA. San Ysidro, Port of Entry. Customs and Border Protection officers are alerted to a possible child smuggling case when a U.S. citizen returns from a brief trip to Mexico with her 9-month-old daughter and a 5-year-old girl she claims to be babysitting.
On a daily basis, we have U.S. citizens attempting to smuggle little kids, minors, into the U.S., even with their own children's birth certificates.
The woman has presented documents for both children, stating that they are U.S. citizens and were only in Mexico for a visit. But as officers question the older girl, their suspicions are raised.
¿De quién es ella? ¿De quién es ella? ¿Quién es? ¿Es su tía?
The girl does not seem to know the woman claiming to be her babysitter.
So there's discrepancies. So there's something wrong.
The woman, Elizabeth, is brought into secondary inspection for further questioning.
When they asked her if she knew you, she said she didn't know you and she didn't know your baby.
Then, Officer Clay sets a subtle trap that Elizabeth doesn't see coming.
Where in Mexico did you pick the little girl up? Her uncle. You just told me you picked her up from Mexico, so you didn't bring her down with you from Oxnard. You know, smuggling a child into the United States is against the law. It's a crime.
Our concern is the safety of this child, because we don't know where she's going to end up. Is she going to end up with the right family or not? We don't know.
The Ambassador Bridge in Detroit. CBP officers know that when night falls, they must expect the unexpected. On this full moon night, the unexpected is exactly what they get.
We were doing pre-primary. We opened up the back of a vehicle.
There's the head right there in the back.
We found a human's skull.
It's a human skull.
It's a human skull. This is the first one for me.
The driver, a Tennessee man returning from a trip to Canada, is sent to secondary inspection for further investigation.
We're gonna check the rest of the car, but he has a human skull in his back.
Got any weapons in there, sir? Any weapons?
No, yes, sir. I got arm handgun permit.
I didn't ask that. I said ask you if you have any weapons.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Where's your weapon?
Right here.
No. First of all, if you had a weapon out there, you said no.
Oh, okay.
Why would you lie without a firearm? That's very important. Also, international.
Oh, okay.
Anything around with you?
No. Handgun permit and everything. I thought it was okay. All right.
What other surprises await officers in the back of the man's minivan?
I really don't know.
JFK International Airport. A U.S. citizen returning from the Dominican Republic has sparked the interest of CBP officers. Instead of flying to his home in Florida, he's landed in New York, and his story just isn't adding up.
Who lives here at this address?
My sister's getting married.
How are you going to get back to Florida once you attend the wedding?
Just got the plane back.
Catch a plane? You have a ticket?
No, I don't.
And how are you going to buy your ticket?
How am I gonna buy the ticket back? Well, after the wedding, yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Depends on what?
Well, it doesn't really depend on anything, you know what I'm saying? It just, she should pay my ticket back, go back home.
Oh, she's going to pay your ticket back?
Yes, she will.
Oh, okay. You have a number for your sister?
Do I have a phone number?
Yeah, for your sister.
Nah, I don't.
Oh, you don't have a phone number for her?
No, she should be outside.
Okay. Why wouldn't you bring the phone number?
Why wouldn't I bring the phone number?
Yeah, I mean, what if she's not outside? How would you get in touch with her?
He was really nervous, you can tell. He hesitated with his answers. So then we decided to take him in for a personal search. I felt like a package in his legs.
Calexico, California. Approximately 17,000 cars cross the border here each day.
Fix! What we're gonna do now is we'll take a random sampling of the traffic coming across the border. We'll bring them in here to the lot, line them up in 2 lines here, and we'll run the dog on them, screening them for any kind of contraband or anything else they're not supposed to be bringing in.
Good girl. Molly. The dog actually alerted, responded by sitting.
For his dog, that's gonna mean that they've either got something on them, there's something like around them, in the glove compartment, in the ashtray maybe.
You guys have IDs? You guys do any weed in there? What was your purpose in Mexicali?
Grandma.
Your grandma? You guys brothers?
No, it's my cousin.
Your cousin? Ever been busted with dope?
With dope,
Yeah?
I smoke a lot of marijuana. It's probably like resined up in the ashtray, like a little roach. That's the only thing that might be in there.
I'm gonna tell you this. It's zero tolerance. Any marijuana coming in from Mexico to the United States, there's a measurable amount. It's a $5,000 fine. Just to let you know, okay?
Sometimes, you just gotta blaze it.
Are you under the influence right now? Because you seem pretty happy. Now that guy's being, he's laughing, whatever. He thinks it's a joke. Now you got a little attitude. Now you're starting to smile and crack up and all that. You think it's funny? Guess what? It's not that funny, buddy. It's residue all over the place. Some Visine. Take the rate up. There's a roach in the center console. There's some more here. Grams on this door. It's all over the place. It's got more green stuff here. That's marijuana right there. There's weed all over the car. It's in the ashtrays, and the doors, on the floor. You wanna scrape it up and make a gram out of it and fine him $5,000? It's a $5,000 fine, right? There's enough to weigh. We find over a gram, roughly. Okay? So it's not funny anymore, okay?
They're either going to go to jail, they're going to pay a fine, or they're going to have the luckiest day of their life. So we're $5,000 due.
In Calexico, officers are searching a vehicle for narcotics. But the car's owner doesn't seem too worried.
You gotta be nervous about nothing.
Probably know that, yeah, we were smoking some marijuana over the weekend, and they're not going to find anything, so we're going to get away with it.
It's residue all over the place. There's enough to weigh. We find over a gram. We're just going to go ahead and test the substance.
Test the positive for the properties of marijuana.
So we're $5,000 due. We have a zero tolerance policy. It's a $5,000 penalty. We can seize the car.
I didn't even know I had that in there. I wouldn't bring nothing over the border, man. I have a decent life, I have my own car. I support my own habit,
See it down in there?
Marijuana?
That's marijuana.
I go to college. I'm still trying to be something in life, Electrician.
My recommendation to you, take that thing to a car wash and get it cleaned up real good. The amount of marijuana that we found in the car was so small.
You think I can get my ID back?
Something like this, we'll just try and use it as a scare tactic, kind of a scared straight kind of thing, and kick them down the road.
There's a break right here, a $5,000 break.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
It's probably the luckiest day they've had in a while.
In a holding cell at JFK Airport, officers have just unzipped a startling secret in this suspected smuggler's pants.
I touched his leg to have him separated. I felt like a package in his legs.
You want to take it off?
You take it off.
No, go ahead. You take it off. You can sit down, you can stand up, whatever you want to do. Just take off the tape first.
These are pills.
Initially, we thought it was ecstasy because usually the ecstasy pills have designs on them like they do. But we put it in an ecstasy kit and it's not testing positive. Just look for ecstasy.
What's that testing?
It's not testing.
Nah.
It's possible something different then?
Could be. It's not meth.
What about coke? You tested for that?
I don't know what this kit's for. It's for Viagra. And the other pills. Cialis.
Do you have any idea what these pills are?
I don't know, man. This doesn't really look milky.
We really don't know what we have right now. I've been here 15 years and I've never seen these kind of pills. So we're using all the test kits we have. We're trying to figure out what narcotics we have.
At the Mexico border, CBP officers continue to question an American woman who has returned from Tijuana. She's traveling with her 9-month-old daughter and someone else's 5-year-old girl who she claims to be babysitting. However, officers doubt the woman's story.
And who told you to come down and pick her up? Her mom said to come get her. So are they gonna pay you any money to take your time and come down here? So you just came all the way from Oxnard as a favor. She had 4 $100 bills on her and 4 20s, a 10. So she probably was paid about $500 to come down here and pick the little girl up. She claimed initially that she was babysitting the child and that she lived in Oxnard. Then she changed the story and said, no, I didn't babysit her. I came down to Mexico and picked her up.
So she's never met the little girl?
No, never met the little girl before.
Why would her mom tell you to come pick up this little girl?
Because she said that it was her daughter and that she missed her.
Why didn't you just say that you were picking up a little girl instead of saying that you were babysitting this little girl? Cause what? Cause doesn't cut it. Tell me something else besides cause. Okay? You told the officer that you were babysitting this little girl, but you really not. You've never met this little girl before. If something happens to her, who are you gonna call? Her uncle.
Elizabeth does not have the mother's number. She gives officers the phone number for the child's uncle in Tijuana in hopes that he can contact the mother.
Oh my gosh. A ver, vamos para acá. ¿Te me sientas aquí? I talked to the uncle to the little girl. He gave the little girl to this other lady named Elizabeth. He's been taking care of her in Tijuana since the mother left her there while she re-entered the U.S. illegally. He's gonna call back mom to see if she will claim the child. Gracias. I'm worried about the little girl, somebody claiming her. She is in limbo right now until we decide whether she's a U.S. citizen or whether she's a citizen of Mexico. Okay, so until we can determine that, she stays in our custody right now here.
Back in Detroit, officers are investigating the bizarre case of a Tennessee man transporting a human skull in from Canada.
We get heads coming over sometime for medical purposes, but this doesn't look like a medical purpose.
The man is taken in for further questioning.
I asked the gentleman, why does he have a human skull in the back of his vehicle? He said, I found it in a garbage dump in Tennessee 10 years ago and just been carrying it around. And I asked, did you call the police by chance? You found a human skull? He's like, no.
I found it about 10 years ago in a dump, and I just had it and never thought nothing about it, really.
I don't know about you, but if I find a human skull in the dump, I might be calling the police.
I thought it was fake. That's why I never did do anything about it, you know.
In the van, Officer Crowley locates a handgun.
And this is 45.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You said an automatic, though.
Just saying an automatic.
All right. Located a second weapon.
We found 2 guns in the vehicle, and he already lied once out pre-primary telling me that he has no guns in his vehicle. So we have two guns so far and a human skull. And we're still looking.
An Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent arrives to question the man about the skull. Can he get to the bottom of this head case? In Detroit, the strange case of a man transporting a skull gets even stranger with the unexpected arrival of a forensic scientist who just happened to be crossing the border.
My girlfriend lives over here, so I go across a lot. So I got unlucky tonight and got pulled in to get my car searched. They were just asking if I could maybe see if I think it's real or not.
He said he found it in a dump in Tennessee.
Well, it looks like it's been through an autopsy at some point.
It may be a case of a funeral parlor dumping body parts out instead of burying people.
I can't say with 100% certainty that it is, but it definitely looks like it's real.
Coming out. Our ICE agent's on site, has interviewed the individual. He believes his story. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to do at the time by taking this out of the dump. But he doesn't think there was any misconduct. So, bad choice, bad life choice.
Just one more detail to deal with. What to do with the skull.
I've had better nights. Basically what the FBI wants us to do is detain the skull until Tuesday. They're going to have their forensic team come down and they're going to test it to see if it comes back to any cases at all.
Yeah, I agree with the foul play besides being stupid on his part.
You can have it, but I apologize there again. I didn't know, you know.
We're detaining it. You may be contacted later on by the FBI to determine whatever's going on with the skull. All right?
Okay. Do you think it's real?
Excuse me?
Do you think it's real?
It is real.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost positive.
Well, I just couldn't. I didn't know.
He said the reason he held on to it was kind of a good gag gift for Halloween. He likes to scare his friends with it. I really don't know what's in his head.
No problem, sir.
These guys gonna send me a CD, DVD, huh?
I don't know, sir.
It's a full moon out. These are the type of people we deal with.
I'll be back again next year, but
Make sure you leave your guns at home, sir. You're free to go, sir.
All right, thanks a lot.
Have a good day, sir.
Bye. I just didn't know it was that big a thing. Never even thought nothing about it. Never crossed my mind.
That concludes our
In a holding cell at JFK, officers are stumped. They've uncovered concealed drugs in the pants of a smuggler. But the identity of these little green pills remains a mystery.
We went through all the test kits and none of them are testing positive at this point. We've done ecstasy, it didn't turn blue. We did heroin, it didn't turn brown. We have Valium, that didn't turn. Cocaine, that's not testing, so.
What I do is we go to the computer and find out the identity of the pill. It's Oxycontin.
OxyContin is a powerful prescription opiate that has become popular as a recreational drug in the U.S.
See, you have the 80 on the pill, you have the OC, the back of the pill. Drug name, Oxycontin, and it's big in the nightclub scene. And they charge a good amount of money for it. Now he's in serious trouble because we know what it is. It's very powerful, it's very dangerous. We'll arrest the guy for importation of narcotics into the United States.
Sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't.
He's been through before, unfortunately, to other ports, but he came through Kennedy, and I think that was his biggest mistake. When it comes to getting drugs on passenger flights, we're number one.
After many more lab tests, the little green pills were eventually found to be fake. The pills were seized and destroyed, and no criminal charges were filed against the smuggler.
If you get caught, you regret it. If you don't, you don't. You know what I'm saying?
At the Mexico border, a woman who officers suspect of trying to smuggle a 5-year-old girl into the U.S. is checked for prior offenses.
Okay, so she has no hits, no nothing? No previous. All right. Thank you. If the little girl is a Mexican citizen or not a U.S. citizen, then Elizabeth will probably be charged for alien smuggling.
As they wait to see which family member will claim the little girl, officers still don't know if she is a U.S. citizen.
The uncle says, we'll just return her back to Tijuana. Why would someone say that too, though, if the kid is actually a U.S. citizen? I am getting ready to call supposedly the uncle to the little girl. I had told him I'd call him back in about a half an hour to see if he was able to get a hold of mom. Hello, ¿con quién hablo? Le estoy llamando para atrás a ver si pudo hablar con la mamá de la niña. No entiendo. ¿Va a venir la mamá de la niña o no? Ok, pero de todos modos, señor, yo necesito a alguien que venga a reclamar a esta niña. They're the one come and claim the kid.
Officer Kalunga must now inform Elizabeth that this could be a long wait.
Where's the little girl? She's over there? Okay. Seeing that it's gonna be a while, I'm gonna go ahead and put you in the back and put you in one of our cells. Okay, this is the family cell, okay? There's a bathroom in there. Okay, and I'll bring you some blankets in a little bit so you can lay down. Okay?
The following day, a family member from the U.S. claimed the little girl, who was proven to be a U.S. citizen. Therefore, no charges were filed against the woman who transported the child from Mexico. Detroit at Windsor Tunnel. With thousands of cars and drivers arriving from Canada each night, CBP is always on alert to protect the U.S. from any potential threat. But tonight, they face a different challenge.
The officer referred her because she appeared to be confused and she didn't have a driver's license. Plus, she appeared to be intoxicated, highly intoxicated.
The woman is taken off the streets and into the border station.
I was downtown seeing a friend that's in jail.
You know you shouldn't be driving at all, right? You don't have a license. Right.
We can call the police department to do a field sobriety test and possibly arrest her.
As a federal agency, CBP has no authority to arrest the woman, since they suspect her of breaking only state law.
It's really frustrating. We do our best, but we can only go so far when somebody breaks local or state law. Michigan State Police. We have to make our phone calls to the state or the local departments. I'm sure you know that we don't have the authority to arrest. If they don't respond, okay, so just best bet is to call back. We can't really do anything. Bye. Yes, so there'd be a big fat negative. There's a possibility that she could be released. But not while I'm driving home. You're gonna let me know if you need anything, right?
I need a cigarette.
Other than that.
I'm not gonna run away.
No, you can't smoke on federal property.
Okay, then I'll just sit here and I'll wait. That's all I gotta do.
All right, sounds good, thanks. It's just basically a matter of the waiting game.
And we are afraid to let her go and drive on the streets of Detroit. We called Michigan State Police. They don't have any units available. It's called Federal Protective Service. They don't have any units available tonight either.
It is Friday night. They do have high priority and low priority. I don't know where we fall in that. We're going to have to eventually release her.
In Detroit, CBP has detained a woman who they suspect is driving under the influence and without a driver's license.
I don't understand why they stopped, to be honest.
Because you're drunk and you're driving a car.
Because drunk driving falls under state law, CBP has no jurisdiction and cannot arrest the woman.
It's frustrating. If the city, Detroit police and state police, none of them respond, then federally she has not broken any laws. Therefore, we're going to have to eventually release her.
Finally, hours after the woman arrived at the border, Detroit police respond to CBP's call.
She's hammered.
And the woman is not happy.
You told me I wasn't going to be in any trouble.
I said I was doing my best. I called.
Detroit police came. I mean, we had no choice. She had a choice this morning when she woke up and decided that she was going to drink. She was going to drive without a driver's license. She seemed like a very nice person. But I can't let you drive home. I can't.
No, and I don't plan on it. That's not what I want to do. I want to follow the rules.
You want to follow the rules, but you were driving without a license and you were driving drunk. But you want to follow the rules.
Yes.
Detroit police take the woman outside to administer a field sobriety test.
Detroit police issued a breathalyzer at least 2 hours after we initially stopped her, and she blew .21.
She's probably about 3 times over the Michigan limit.
Detroit police ran her criminal history, that she was arrested and convicted 6 times for drinking and driving. Now with this one tonight, there's one pending.
Are you lying, bitch? I was nice all night. She lied to me.
Nobody lied.
No, she told me I was in no trouble. You're lying.
She realized that she was probably going to end up going to jail. Suddenly, instead of being her friends, we were the bad guys.
You better give me my medication.
When you're dealing with someone who's under the influence of alcohol or drugs, the minute they realize that it's not going to go their way, they can turn on you in a heartbeat.
Hopefully when she wakes up safe and sound in the morning, I don't know, maybe she'll thank me. I doubt it.
In the pedestrian lane at the San Ysidro port of entry, a step through this door is all it takes to enter the U.S. from Mexico. Everyone in this corridor is already on U.S. soil, but formal entry into the U.S. is not made until passing through the primary inspection station a few hundred feet later. This area is a favorite location for spotters.
A spotter is a person who is involved in smuggling. They'll come up and they'll scope the area to see where the officers are and see which lanes they should send someone down, where it would be easier for that person to come in illegally.
While patrolling the waiting area, Officer Jerry Vales notices some suspicious behavior from a man who leaves the line and exits the building.
So tell me, why were you leaving the building? I saw you walk out of the building, you walk in, you walk out. Well, the only purpose for you to walk inside the building is to request entry into the United States. There should be no other reason to walk into this building. No tengo identification. Visa.
No.
When I stopped him, I asked him for his ID, and at first he didn't say a word to me, like he was thinking of what to say to me. Then I asked him again, this time in Spanish, where's his ID, where's his visa, or if he has a green card. And he said again, he didn't understand English. And I was speaking to him in Spanish. Watch your line, guys!
Suspecting that the man may be a spotter, Officer Vales pulls him into secondary for further questioning.
Didn't have any proper documentation to enter the United States. And what was his purpose inside the building to cross into the United States?
In Blaine, Washington, a new officer has just joined CBP. His name is Harmeet Gill, and following his faith means he won't have to follow one clean-cut CBP rule.
I'm a Sikh from East India, and that's the reason I have facial hair. All I had to do was apply for the waiver on a religious grounds. A lot of colleagues actually want to have goatees. I just tell them, they just gotta have the faith.
Yeah, he has a turban, he has a beard, but I don't know, he's just like us. He's a good guy.
In his second week on the job, Officer Gill has an unusual case headed his way. An American couple who had planned to visit Vancouver has been sent back to the U.S. by Canadian officials.
Did you get kicked back from Canada?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? Did they tell you why?
Yeah, we know why. Something happened 15 years ago.
Canadian refusal.
A lot of times when people get refused from Canada, they're angry, but they kind of took it as a joke. A little bit of a red flag there, When they found out they're going to go inside here, they also thought that was pretty funny.
Refusal from Canada.
Okay, hi there. How are you guys doing today?
They say, get out.
So you guys were trying to go into Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
What had happened?
He has 82 charges of racketeering. He has 2 counts of racketeering. So you couldn't have the 2 or 5 or maybe 3.
They were just trying to be a little funny, trying to be a little sarcastic.
Yeah.
Any alcohol with you?
Yeah. Not yet.
We try to stress the whole situation, even the appearance, their character. Well, they're wearing sunglasses inside. Why are they wearing sunglasses? Could you guys remove your sunglasses, man? Okay, perfect. And you were the one who had a criminal record before? And whose vehicle are you driving?
The rental.
It's a rental?
Can you guys have a seat for a minute?
Sure.
I'll just be a couple minutes, all right? Okay, so.
We think it's kind of funny, but it's really not. I guess it's a good thing that they don't let bad people in their country.
The main thing you want to check out is, do they have any warrants, all right? Yeah, you're going to be getting 16.
There was a lot of narcotics involved in his past, cocaine, trafficking. So that was a red flag for us.
They might not even let me back to my own country, who knows?
The second red flag was his vehicle that he was traveling in was a rental. Just check his vehicle.
Yeah, I would check his vehicle.
Will the car shed any light on this couple's true intentions? Boston, Massachusetts. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Fugitive Operations Team has one objective: to track down fugitive immigrants and remove them from the United States.
We prioritize people that have warrants of deportation with a criminal history. Most people think of immigrants that come over here to make a better life and to make a living in the United States. However, there are immigrants who come here and do not follow any of our laws and are involved in criminal activity.
Today, their suspect is a man who has disregarded his final deportation notice and has an extensive criminal history.
The suspect is a violent offender. He has assault and battery with dangerous weapon, as well as violation, convictions, controlled substance.
We got word from our advanced officer that the subject was moving a little earlier than expected. So we had to respond immediately to the location that this subject was heading towards.
You have the target vehicle?
Supervisor Tom Carroll was the first one to make contact with the suspect. He was almost in shock. He didn't know what was going on.
How long have you been in the U.S.?
I've been here 12, 13 years.
Do you ever get any immigration paperwork?
No, I got 2 kids.
Yep.
I got custody of them.
Well, I understand that, but we have a warrant of deportation for you. So we'll make a call at our office to an attorney. You have an attorney?
The suspect, Danny, is clearly upset and denies ever receiving his court hearing notice in the mail.
I would never just bypass that. I would have took care of it. I would have been sent to the wrong address, but I never got it. I never got anything, man.
Other hand.
My son's autistic. You think I want to disappear for them?
With sole custody of his 2 American children, will Danny be able to stay in the U.S.? ICE agents have taken a fugitive named Danny into custody for deportation. He has a long criminal history and claims he never received his hearing notice to appear before an immigration judge.
My son's autistic. You think I want to disappear for them?
We understand that.
I'm not touching my kids.
Yeah.
I stay home.
Yeah. Okay.
There hasn't been anything for me anymore for 6, 7 years because my kids did.
All right. Listen, though, you got a long criminal history. Then we're going to go to the office. You can call an attorney. He can tell you what your options are.
We understand that we are uprooting their lives, but they do have to face what they've done. If someone's having a hard time emotionally, we'll address that and treat them as well as we can.
Danny is taken to ICE headquarters, where he is questioned about his extensive criminal history, including assault with a deadly weapon and distribution of marijuana.
When I got here, I got into trouble. My life got better. I got custody of both of my kids. I'm the only one taking care of them. One's autistic, one's 8, one's 6.
Okay, Mr. Fontanelli, we have a warrant of deportation for you. I don't know whether you're going to stay in our custody or not, or whether you're going to be released because of the children. We never try to put the children in a situation where they're with complete strangers. An order of supervision could be necessary where the person would be released, kind of like probation. Any questions? Wait for the camera.
I just want to know when I can see my kids.
I will try to find that out for you.
Mr. Fontanelli, he was notified to appear before a U.S. immigration judge to have his day in court, and he didn't show. At that point, he became a fugitive with a warrant of deportation against him. If Mr. Fontanelli had moved from a previous address, it would be Mr. Fontanelli's responsibility to advise this agency of his new address.
My responsibility is my 2 kids. And my 2 kids is my life. When you take me away from my kid, you're taking life away from them.
You might even have to lean over a little bit.
I'm afraid that I am going to get sent back. How about my autistic kid? If I'm gone, who's going to love him like I do?
He's very upset, very emotional, understandably because of his children being the sole parent. The issues with his children were taken care of. His mother's going to take care of the children, and we're going to hold him until possible removal from the United States.
My 6-year-old said, "Dad, everything will be all right. I love you."
He committed the crime. He violated the immigration laws of the United States. At that point, he became a fugitive. The bottom line is, there will be folks out there from this agency looking for you.
Danny awaits his removal from the United States. In Blaine, Washington, an American couple who was refused entry by Canada is being questioned by rookie officer Harmeet Gill and his CBP trainer.
Check his vehicle?
Yeah, I would check his vehicle. And I kind of just stand back and let Gil decide what he wants to do. He wanted to go look at the car. I thought it was a good idea, too.
We get picked for all kinds of things.
I get the random treatment all the time.
Yeah.
If someone lives, locally, and then they're picking up a rental car, it's probably because they don't want us to be able to see what their history crossing the border. I mean, some people don't want to put miles on their vehicle. There is legitimate reasons for it, too. It's just interesting.
It's one of the things. They got these maps in here that states they're looking for Denny's restaurants in Seattle.
Maybe they like Denny's. I don't see anything. Everything looks okay. There's nothing in here.
So everything checked out okay. We didn't find any current outstanding warrants for his arrest. He is a U.S. citizen, so we will let him in. 95% of the people are good, and it could be those 5% that are not good, that we just have to handle the situation accordingly.
Now do I get to go to the ladies' room?
I grew up here in the United States. I could see it on people's faces, how people viewed me. That sort of encouraged me to actually even go into law enforcement. People see me here, as they say, face of America.
Back at the San Ysidro pedestrian crossing, officers Vales and Staples question a man who they suspect is a lookout for a smuggling operation.
Oye, ¿qué está haciendo aquí dentro del cliente? Vine a traer a mi esposa de acá. ¿Qué tipo de visa tiene para entrar a los Estados Unidos? Turista. De turista. ¿Y qué es su propósito si está viniendo aquí cada día? Trabajar. O sea, ella está trabajando aquí ilegal. Usted viene con ella. Sí. Cada día. Sí.
Officers grow more suspicious as the suspect, whose name is Eduardo, has difficulty remembering details about his alleged wife.
¿Cuántos años tiene ella? Mejor dicho, ¿qué es la fecha de nacimiento de ella? Es el... ¿Cómo que no sabes?
Officer Staples' next step is to look for information about Eduardo's wife.
I have not found any type of border crossing card or document that would allow her to come into the United States legally, and therefore the statements that he has given to me appear to be lies.
At the San Ysidro port of entry, officers continue to question Eduardo, who they suspect is a lookout for a smuggling ring.
¿Y sabe usted que es ilegal entrar a los Estados Unidos sin documentos?
Sí, pero realmente yo no entré, ni intenté entrar.
Eduardo doesn't realize that as soon as he stepped through those doors, he was already on U.S. soil.
¿Tiene el récord criminal con el servicio de inmigración?
No.
¿Nunca ha tenido problemas con migración antes?
Bueno, es una felonía.
¿Ha estado detenido por migración antes?
Sí.
Ok.
Intenté cruzar un carro con sustancias ilegales.
¿Qué sustancias?
Anfetaminas. Pero eso fue hace muchos años.
¿Fue a la cárcel?
Sí.
¿Cuánto tiempo estuvo en la cárcel?
17 meses.
Due to the fact that Eduardo was on U.S. soil without the appropriate documents and has a criminal record, he will be returned to Mexico.
Ok. Usted está deportado por 20 años. Si usted vuelve a intentar a cruzar o cruza la línea y anda por aquí y es detenido de nuevo, puede ir usted a la prisión de 2 a 20 años con una multa hasta $250,000.
At the Peace Arch in Blaine, Washington, Customs and Border Protection Officer Mladenovich works every day to keep his country safe. He's simply returning a favor. 15 years ago, the United States kept him safe, offering him asylum from his war-torn communist homeland.
We came here as visitors.
How often do you come to the States?
We used to live in Yugoslavia, but war broke out, so we couldn't go back. We got stuck, like that movie at the airport with Tom Hanks, when he got stuck at the airport. I had a passport of the country which didn't exist, so we applied for political asylum.
Are you coming in or out?
And we got political asylum in like 3 months. We asked them how long we can stay. They said as long as you want, so we never left.
To repay the United States, he became a Customs and Border Protection Officer. It's a job he says he was born to do.
My grandfather from my father's side was customs officer after World War I. So I guess it's in the genes.
Today, he will put his personal experience to use. At 10:30 a.m., a woman from Cuba walks across the border from Canada and asks for his help.
We don't see so many Cubans coming into the United States through the northern border. Hey, señora, viene aquí.
Yeah, it's first time for me to see that case.
What the officer discovers is that the immigration process is expedited for qualifying Cuban nationals.
What is your desire to live in the United States? Why?
When we asked her, why are you coming to the United States? And she said, much more opportunities and land of freedom. And I understood. I understood.
She said that she and her family was politically persecuted in Cuba. People born here, they take it for granted, you know. You go to work, come back, go to church. I mean, everything's fine. But some countries, some places, some parts of the world, you have to fight for your just religious beliefs, political beliefs. It's different.
5 hours after they first began the process, Officers Gallagher and Mladenovich complete the necessary paperwork, which will allow a young Cuban woman to legally enter the United States and reunite with her relatives.
Hi, welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
Hi.
I understood her. I understood her